It's not on.
I think he's gone.
Turning it on.
All right.
There it is.
Okay. So, are you still a materialist in terms of consciousness? And what actually shook your faith maybe in materialism? And how did you approach it before you got into this experience?
So I'm glad you brought this up because I left something hanging earlier. So this experience of ego dissolution, which I really think is central to the psychedelic experience when it works, and it doesn't always happen. For people to be willing to let their ego completely dissolve, they have to feel very safe, and that's why the choice of guide is so important. But the change that I underwent was I went from thinking that the opposite term for spiritual was, or for material, or opposite term for spiritual was material. And I came to understand, after having this period of time where my ego was gone, I felt like when your ego is gone, your defenses are down, you feel emotion in this powerful way, and particularly the emotion of love. You feel your place in nature is completely changed. You no longer feel you're an object, you're a subject, and everything else is an object. You lose actually the subject-object duality falls apart when the ego falls apart. It's all objective or all subjective, whatever. And that, so this powerful connection, I had the sense of, being in my garden, and this sense that consciousness was spread very evenly over all the species in the garden. I didn't have a monopoly on consciousness. The plants had it too. So it made me realize that it's the ego that stands in the way of spiritual experience. And that for me, and this is a very non-supernatural definition of it, the opposite of spiritual is egotistical. And it is the walls that our egos build that keeps us from feeling our connection to nature, that keeps us from feeling love in its most profound manifestation. So for me, that was a big change. I kind of redefined spirituality for myself, and that was that was the news. That was the news for me. I mean, I know other people come out of it with an idea of universal consciousness, and I've heard from a lot of people since the book came out that I didn't take that idea seriously enough, and that maybe I should, and maybe I should look into it. I still feel like I am a materialist about consciousness. But I also know enough about this area that we actually don't know that brains produce consciousness. There's remarkably little evidence of that. It seems to me the more parsimonious theory, but there are people who make good arguments it's not. As the Dalai Lama said, the idea that brains produce consciousness is an interesting hypothesis, but that's all it is so far.